And so Jesus has this interesting conversation, and we'll pick it up in verse 16. Then we'll read down to get to here. Jesus says, "What are you arguing with them about?" he asked. So a man in the crowd said, "Teacher, I brought you my son who's possessed by a spirit, and he's robbed him of his speech. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground, and he foams at the mouth. He gnashes his teeth, and he becomes rigid. And I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they couldn't. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they couldn't. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, and they couldn't." The man believed the disciples could drive the spirit out, but the disciples didn't believe they could cast them out. How many times are those outside of the church looking for the church to provide solutions that they believe the church can do, but we don't believe it? Not y'all. The folk we getting ready to go hang out with in Lakeside. It is. But I got the master. And I can edit. So Jesus responds, he says, "You unbelieving generation, how long am I going to be with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." So they brought him, and when the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion. He fell to the ground, rolled around, foaming at the mouth. What a scene. So Jesus asked the boy's father, I said, "How long have you been like this?" Jesus is interesting. I mean, he really is. And you know, let me let y'all in on something. When you just read the Bible, I mean, really, when you just read the Bible the way it's written, I mean, you just read it, it's interesting. It's some comedy in there. It's some drama in there. It's some stuff in there will have you rolling. This boy rolling around the ground, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked his dad, "How long you been like that?" Boy's father said, "From childhood." We've been watching this situation a long time. You know, we'd be out to dinner. We be at the family dinner, and the next thing you let me see. I didn't hit that point. I hit that point. Y'all got to bear with me now. Come on, y'all, stop. I'm trying to finish this. He said, "From childhood," he said, "it has often thrown him into the water or into the fire and the water to try to kill him." He's been like this a long time. And it often throws him in the water and in the fire trying to kill him. Throwing him into the water and into the fire. You're talking two extremes here. Water and fire. You're talking about a boy who's living his life in the extremes. And his daddy can't do anything about it. Do you know anybody that seems to live life in the extremes? They're either all the way over here or they're all the way over there. You don't know which one of them you're going to talk to when you meet them. Think about it for a minute. You don't know. And they've always been like that. Since childhood. So the father says, "But Jesus," now watch this. Jesus, "if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help." Jesus, if you can do anything, have compassion and help. And Jesus says, if you can. All things are possible for the one who believes. Wow. if you can believe. There's about 493 times in the New Testament that scriptures are used where it mentions faith, faithful, doubt, unbelief, because this thing about faith is crucial to our relationship from God. Why? Because faith will either loose or limit God's activity in your life. The boy says, if you can do anything, and Jesus throws it back, no, it's not a question of whether I can do anything. I can do all things. The question is, if you can believe. All things are possible to him that believes. And I submit to you that one of our greatest challenges rests in the area of what we can believe, what we will believe, what we choose to believe and choose not to believe. So well, that puts a whole lot of responsibility on me. For real? Our relationships with God are two-way. That's why it's called a relationship. We relate. Say, well, isn't God just going to? No, God is not just going to do anything. I wish he would. I wish he would just come down and fill this building. But guess what? He's not going to do it. Why? Who are his hands and feet in the earth? So we have a part to play. Right? Okay. You must say, I wish he would come down and just adjust my bad attitude. Guess what? He's not going to do it. I have a part to play. The major part is, first of all, I have to believe that I have a bad attitude. Some of us have not come to that realization yet. We have not yet come to the realization that we might not be the easiest people in the world to get along with. That might be one of the reasons people don't like to be around us. It's not because we're Christians. That was free. Now, we're talking about going from one extreme to the other. If you can believe, all things are possible, and the man responds, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And then Jesus, seeing the crowd, looks at the boy, commands the spirit to come out, and the spirit came out. Did Jesus respond to the man's request? Yes. The man said, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And so how did Jesus help his unbelief? Jesus helped his unbelief by doing what he asked for. Now, the next time a situation arises, now the man knows. Because Jesus has dealt with his unbelief. See, I'm convinced some of us need God to deal with our unbelief. But we have to acknowledge we have some unbelief. Oh, no, I believe God. Oh, no, I believe God. I believe God. I believe God. Do you really? Then when it doesn't happen, well, it must not have been God's will. No. We're not going there. There are people in this building right now, under the sound of my voice, who need a miracle from God. You need a miracle. And immediately what pops up, God doesn't do that no more. Well, you just limited God in your life. There's some people in here, y'all need some financial breakthroughs. So, oh no, he's going to start talking about money. Don't tell me he's shifting into this prosperity thing. God wants you to prosper. There it is. I said it. It's on tape. God ain't broke. It amazes me how critical we can become over the idea that God wants to prosper his people while we're trying to figure out how to pay bills. Let me move on off of that. Let me get away from that. If you can believe, all things are possible. Lord, help my unbelief. And Jesus did what the man needed. Now the man's faith has risen. You know how God develops faith in your life? By allowing you to get in situations and circumstances where you have to exercise some faith. Lord, we're quick to pray, Lord, increase my faith. Then he puts us in a situation, I don't know why God put me in this. You ask him to increase your faith. It's like saying, God, give me patience, but I want it now. We need to grow up. We do. We need to grow up. We